All right, one of the top biggest stories in college football right now is Kyler Murray, Oklahoma's starting quarterback. Here's a guy who, um, we kind of heard about here and there, gets drafted by the Oakland Athletics, and comes back and is going to replace Baker Mayfield, be the starter. The A's let him come back and play. He's leading Oklahoma to, at this point, a one-loss season, and he's in the front, one of the front runners to win the Heisman. And what I want to do is, for the longest time, I thought, you know, as an NFL draft analyst, whatever you want to call me, I didn't really put much thought or effort into scouting Kyler Murray because I just always assumed he's a baseball player. He signed with the A's. He's gonna go. He's gonna play his 1 year of college football, and then he's gonna go play baseball. But the more and more the season's gone on, and honestly, seeing the success that he's had, and then hearing a latest report, reading an article by John Middlecoff of the Athletic, I thought, and he raised this point, is he better off going to football? And at the time, I was like, that's crazy. And I listened to John's podcast, which is Three and Out, and I read his article, and it got me thinking. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go scout him. It's not like I haven't seen Kyler Murray play, but I need to go and dive deep into the tape and see what type of prospect he is. And that's what I did. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a look at Kyler Murray's future, and I don't know what he's going to do. It's not my job to tell him what to do, and I don't want to come across that way. But let's take a look at this from both sides and figure out, is him playing football or him playing baseball? What are the different sides to that story? So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit of background. Kyler Murray, coming out of high school, he was an Under Armour All-American in both baseball and football. That's not very common. He originally signed out of high school with Texas A&M. He was there initially, backing up Kyle Allen, who ended up transferring to Houston. Kyler Murray then said after that first year, he transferred off to Oklahoma. There's a lot of that turmoil with Kevin Sumlin, and he ended up going to Oklahoma. Okay? Well, at Oklahoma, he never got to play baseball at Texas A&M because he transferred before the baseball season started, and he went to Oklahoma. He played his redshirt freshman year there and struggled. Redshirt in football, didn't play behind Baker Mayfield, all but a couple, mop-up duty here and there. And then his redshirt sophomore year, not this, last season, he had a better baseball season. He batted .296 with 10 home runs, 47 RBIs. I believe he had, around 10 to 20 steals also. And he started to become this hot baseball prospect. They loved his athletic ability. They loved his speed. They felt that he hit with good enough power. He was more of a line drive hitter with some power. He was considered maybe a better hitter than defender, but he had that potential. He has that five-tool ability, a five-tool player. If you're not familiar, you can bat for average, you can bat for power, you can run the bases, you can play good defense, and you can throw people out from the outfield. He was that five-tool player. His college coach at Oklahoma compared him to Andrew McCutcheon, who's in the majors, and other people coming out in the draft compared him to Jackie Bradley. Coming into the draft, he was rated 36th best prospect according to MLB's.com's pipeline. I saw Keith Law, who's a noted and Major League Baseball draft analyst. He had him 36th. I don't know if those two were combined or what, but he was 36th best prospect. And Oakland ended up taking him 9th overall. And to get him to sign, they offered him a $4.6 million signing bonus, which is slightly above, I believe, the average slot at that position. Okay, so there was all this talk. Hey, he was the 9th pick, but he wanted to go back and play football at Oklahoma. And Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics said, you know what? We'll let you. We want you to live that dream. Go this year, start, have fun, and then once football's over, you're coming back to the baseball team. But then, not only does Kyler Murray come back to Oklahoma, he's thriving there and having so much success that now it raises the question, as he played himself into being a draft, not only a draftable quarterback, but a high-level draft pick. And then with that, that raises the question. Okay, he's going to get $4.6 million, just a signing bonus, to go play Major League Baseball. But is football a better option for him? Right? So that's what I did. I went in and I watched his tape, and I watched his game against Baylor. And I know it's only one game, and I wanted to watch more, but with all the other stuff that I'm doing, I just haven't had a chance. And I didn't want to dive too much into his tape and spend hours upon hours upon hours on a prospect who ends up going and playing baseball. But I wanted to spend at least some time to get a feel for his type of skill set. And I was impressed. I was very impressed with him. We know about his athletic ability, and that was definitely apparent. You know, they use him a lot in designed runs. He's explosive. He can run for extra yardage. You get him on a scramble play. He's able to just explode in space like a lot of the elite playmakers do. Okay, so we know he's a good athlete. But what about him as a thrower? That's another thing. He's got a strong arm. You're not labeled as a five-tool player in Major League Baseball draft prospects and not have a strong arm. And he definitely shows that. He can, he has no trouble getting the ball down the field with ease. On his short and intermediate throws, if he needs to rifle that ball in, he can send it on a line. And it gets there. And kind of like Pat Mahomes, in a sense, he doesn't have to cock and throw. He can, on some of those short throws, he doesn't have to be on balance. He can just kind of flick the wrist, and that ball still has a lot of velocity on it. So that's definitely impressive. Okay? And if you watch any of his highlights, you watch any of his games, watching Oklahoma versus whoever, you can see that he has good deep touch and ball placement. Marquise Hollywood Brown, CeeDee Lamb, other receivers, he's able to drop the ball into them. They don't have to really slow down to catch it. They're running, the ball just comes and just almost like drop it into a bucket. That's evident. Okay? So those are his strengths. Okay? But I had a lot of concerns coming in. Once again, I have only watched him in highlights, watched, the occasional game. Okay? My questions were going to be, how well does he stay in the pocket? A lot of mobile, explosive quarterbacks, they're very quick to leave the pocket. Okay? They see just a little bit of pressure, boom, they're gone. And you don't really blame them in college because you're that good of an athlete. Go be a good athlete and get all those extra yards. But that doesn't play in the NFL. So I want to see how well does he stay in the pocket. And when I watched him, I'm sure there's some part of their offense where he's told, you know what, if your first read for a second read's not open, go. But there's times he's willing to stay. Against Baylor, there was times where he sat back in that pocket and he went through reads and he stayed in there with a clean pocket. Now, there were times where he left early, but it wasn't as clear as day as you see some of these other receivers. Okay. I knew that he had good ball placement down the field. He had good touch down the field. But one of the questions I had was his short to intermediate accuracy. And for the most part, it wasn't bad. He was able to connect on short passes. They didn't throw a lot of intermediate, not a lot of in-breaking routes. It's a pretty wide open spread type offense. Okay? But when he did throw intermediate, when he did throw short, he was able to throw with accuracy. There was a couple plays against Baylor where he was able to thread the needle. Very accurate. That ball was on a line in between. He had two defenders on each side of this tight end, a defender over the top, and he lasered it in, and it just went off the receiver's hands. So he does show that. The one concern I have for him, though, is he doesn't always throw with the best touch on short to intermediate. Yes, there's times where on especially shorter passes, he can kind of take a little off of it to allow his receivers to make that catch. But there's definitely times where he lasers the ball and he doesn't necessarily have to. And so that's still kind of a concern that, maybe the more I watch tape of it, the more I see it. But that's just one of the little concerns that I have for him. Another concern is the height, and don't get me wrong, I'm not someone that's saying, hey, if you're under 6 foot, you're not 6'3", you're not going to make it in the NFL. I'm not buying it. That's out the window. We just saw Baker Mayfield get drafted #1 overall. Drew Brees has had success. Russell Wilson's had success. Height of a quarterback is not that big of a deal anymore, even if it ever was. Okay, but you look at Kyler Murray, and he's listed at 5'10". I wonder if he's really at 5'10". I know I saw him on one of the tapes. He's walking right next to Marquise Brown, and they're about the same height. Marquise Brown's not a big receiver. He's listed at 5'10" also. So maybe he is a legit 5'10". Maybe he's 5'9". So that is a concern because even a lot of these other quarterbacks, and it's not a concern, but you see some of these shorter quarterbacks. Drew Brees is 6 foot. Russell Wilson's 5'11". Baker Mayfield's 6'1". Doug Flutie's 5'10". So Doug Flutie is probably the shortest quarterback that we've seen recently that's had the success. Okay? I don't think it's that big of a deal, but there's a difference between seeing 6 foot and potentially 5'9" for some teams. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so when you look at all this together, you look at his attributes, you look at his skill set, you look at how he plays the football game. What does this all mean for him if he were to enter the NFL draft? Okay? While it's early, it's one game. He's definitely worth the first-round pick, in my opinion. His ability to move within the pocket, to create with his feet, and he's got the arm talent. My one concern, the one concern I have of him as a thrower is that accuracy, or just that touch. I'm not concerned with his accuracy. I'm not concerned with the high. He's got the ability to make every throw. So I'm not concerned with that. Height, not a big concern. He's going to be moving around. I mean, we've seen guys at his height and ability, his height have success. Even if he's just a little bit shorter, it's not that big of a deal. Okay? I gave him, off of one tape, a second-round grade, a high second-round grade, a fringe first-round grade. And it's just because of that one little thing. I was debated first-round grade, that late second-round grade, or early second-round grade. And it was that close. I almost gave him that first-round grade. That means it basically, if a guy's got a late first, early second-round grade, he's going to be a first-round pick as a quarterback. You look at this quarterback class. Justin Herbert's the only guy I'd trust in the first round. The guys that I'd consider on that fringe, Dwayne Haskins, if he comes out, but he's still raw. Daniel Jones, he's still junior. I mean, I need to dive more into his tape. Will Greer's a guy, but Kyler Murray has so much more upside. You see the way the NFL's going, and guys like Kyler Murray would have success, especially if you put him with a good NFL, but that's the thing, it's key. If he goes to a Sean McVay type quarterback coach, he's going to thrive. You put him with, I don't know, that's a bad example. You put him with a defensive-minded coach, how is he going to be? I mean, I look at the roster, and I'm like, could you imagine Kyler Murray on the Jaguars? I mean, you get a guy, you got guys that can get downfield, you got a run-heavy offense, you put them in play action, you get them out in space. I mean, I would say that could be something, especially if he hits, that could put them over the top. Tampa Bay. It sounds like they're moving on from Jameis Winston. They're going to have an early top 10 pick. What would Kyler Murray do down there? Okay. Now, you may say, well, Brian, he's $4.6 million. Go play baseball. Baseball is not hard on your body. You get that, they look at those gigantic contracts. There's no guarantee. $4.6 million is what he got for a signing bonus, a one-time payment. He's not getting paid $4.6 million per year. He's going to make pennies on the dollar after this signing bonus. He's going to have to go to low A ball and work his way up. Okay? And it's going to take him, 5 or so years to get to that NFL, the Major League Baseball level. And then once he's there, he gets an arbitration and all that. So it's still a longer process for him to get, that second big contract. Not to mention when he's in single A and double A, he's taking buses from here to there. It's bus leagues, not the greatest of stadiums. Look at the NFL. If he's a top 10 pick, Josh Rosen was the 10th overall pick to the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Rosen got $10 million signing bonus, $17 million guaranteed over the course of his contract. That's about $13 million more than what he's guaranteed with Athletics. And that's if he continues to develop. He's still a raw prospect. His batting average, 296, whereas in the major leagues, wouldn't be that bad. Would be probably decent. I mean, 300 is good. The top 50 college baseball players are averaging 368 and above. So it's not like he was out there raking it. He's got to learn to hit curveball. He's got to hit with a wood bat, not an aluminum bat. That's not as easy as a transition as it's like that. Some guys it is, but not everybody is. But what if he's not the 10th overall pick? What is if he doesn't go in the first round? Teams are concerned. Lamar Jackson went 32nd, last pick of the first round. $8 million guaranteed over the course of his first 3 years. A $4.9 million signing bonus. Do the math. That's more than 4.6. Okay? So if he is considered a first-round pick, it might be good for him to go into the NFL draft. He's not riding buses from here to there. You look at how these NFL teams travel. Okay? Now, I don't know what he's going to do. Okay? Baseball is maybe his passion, and I'm not the one to tell him what to do. I'm not living his life. I don't know his dreams. Okay, so whatever he chooses, I'm fine with. I'm not going to be like, you're making a huge mistake, Kyler Murray. It's not my choice to make. But as I've thought about this more, as we raise the questions about, would someone choose baseball over football? Depending on where you're picked, football might be the better option. Even if he only plays 3 years in the NFL. Lamar Jackson's going to make about $12 to $13 million guaranteed for 3 years. Okay. So that's going to go ahead and do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and to it. If I'm putting this out on the podcast too, so if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you rate and review. Make sure you subscribe there also, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Make sure you follow me at draft_Brian on Twitter and Instagram. Follow at NFL Draft Geek. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.